Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, I've mentioned this a couple times in previous videos, but as of the 1st of April, 2024, we're not in 2024 anymore for my videos, we're in 1997. Welcome to 1997. I got my vest. This is actually probably from the late 90s. And the headband is definitely from the late 90s. I actually think I got it in... I might have had it since 8th grade. So I've had it for a while. Certainly old enough that I was wearing this headband in 1997. So, authentic accessories anyway. I've got the no part pseudo bangs. It was a concept that I remember doing this a lot. I don't know if everybody did, but it's like you use the headband to keep your hair from going back to its normal part, just in the front, so it kind of looks, I don't know. And if you really want to, you use product to make it so it stays kind of in a fan sort of thing in front of the headband, in lieu of actually cutting bangs, to look like, is it Brooke Shields that had that hairstyle? Anyway, so this will be fun. I am doing 2 readathon events during April besides the old school April. And I'm also doing old school April, of course. That's how this started. So I'm doing Orillium Academy, the magical readathon, I think is what it is. And then I'm also doing the Dungeons and Dragons inspired readathon. So that should be fun. I don't have the names of either of the people in front of me. I'll put the information in the description. My internet has been behaving badly all night, so I couldn't look up the things that I don't remember off the top of my head because I'd need internet for that. So I'm just going to record this because I can talk about the books, and then we'll get to the stuff in the description. And I will be doing lots more chatting about how things are going. I'm guessing it'll be more than one a week, just because this is kind of an interesting experiment. I'm doing 2 read-alongs or buddy reads so far, as long as they both work. We'll see how it goes, because I've not done a buddy read on YouTube before. Like actually a buddy read, like not just reading along with other people that are doing the organizing and all that. So we'll see how this goes. And the fellow with whom I am reading these 2 books is new to streaming for sprints and all. He did have his first sprint, so if this continues, I will definitely be providing information about Coda and his channel in the description. Check him out. He has a remarkable number of subscribers for the fact that so far he doesn't do videos, but he did his first video technically because he did a live stream as a part of Neva's 24-hour reading event this weekend. So, yay, congratulations to Coda on his first video. And hopefully we will have lots of fun with our books. So, I did go through the Orillium and the Dungeons and Dragons readathons and look at what my prompts are. In both of these, you create a character. So I did. And I actually kept the character the same for both, so that I don't really have to remember too much. I already used the name Ravenmount in the Adventure-a-thon. So I just added a first name to that. So my character is now Mallory Ravenmount. It's hard to find a good first name that sounds right with Ravenmount. It's a lot of syllables. So hopefully Mallory Ravenmount works. So for Orillium, I don't have a lot of the details written down because I was going to poke around at the character building after I looked at the prompts, and then my internet went out. So far I just have the name for Orillium, and I am in the Mind Walkers, the Mind something or other guild. So I do know that. I have joined my team on Discord. So that's at least done before my internet stopped working. Yeah. I get very grumpy when the internet is not cooperating. Like, how dare it not be working? So, anyway. So, the calling that I'm pursuing for Orillium is the cartographer, for which it has a lot of prompts. It's one of the ones that has more requirements, which is why I picked it, because I felt like if I picked one that only had, like, you have to read 3 books or something, like, what is that? Yeah, so cartography, there are 7. 7 is good. You have to do an outstanding, I think is what the O is, for elemental studies, shape-shifting, animal studies, astronomy, alchemy, and demonology. And Q, I'm guessing, is not as high as O. Like, yeah. I'm not really sure, but a Q in inscription. A lot of this, I didn't do the character building last year when they did it, so I'm catching up on that. So if you guys know more about that and want to tell me more about what I'm doing, that is fantastic. I will catch up, but I'm focusing first on just getting my cartography underway. So the prompts for the cartography track, for the elemental studies, I need a book with a source of light on the cover. So let's see. I'm sure they are upside down relative to... Yes, probably. Alright, I'm here for 2 books. So, Source of Light on the cover. I'm doing Phoenix in the Ashes by Joan De Ving, which has fire on the cover, which is so totally a source of light. Then for shape-shifting, the prompt is an author who blurbed your last 5-star. This one I'm going to hold off on because since I've time traveled, even if the book is itself something that was available in 1997, it doesn't mean that the current edition has been blurbed by somebody that also had books out in 1997. So I'm going to wait until I have at least one 5-star read for April and use the 5-star reads from April for that prompt. And hopefully I'll luck out in the first 5-star read. We'll have blurbs from somebody who I also have books from that's within my dates. So that's that one. The next prompt is animal studies, for which I need a yellow title. I went with this as a literal, the title is printed in yellow. And I went with the spine printing and pulled the first one out of my eligible books that had a yellow printing on the spine for the title. So I will be reading Strange Highways by Dean Koontz. The front cover does not have yellow printing, but the spine does. So I'm not sure why they decided to change it for part and not for the other part, but it works for me. And I haven't actually read that much Dean Koontz, maybe one or two, maybe. I don't remember which ones they would be if I've read them. So I know Dean Koontz was a big deal during the 90s. He was one of those authors, all the guys especially, they were reading Dean Koontz. I do remember them talking about him. So this is totally authentic, not what I was reading in the 90s. I was studying physics in college by the late 90s. Not quite the same track. I didn't have time for much pleasure reading for a while, which was uncomfortable. So, now we're finally getting to read Dean Koontz. The next prompt, I have no clue what it means. I will be doing some poking around on the YouTubes to find out what exactly a zodiac recommendation means. I've heard something about that it has something to do with a trend going on like TikTok or Instagram or maybe both. And I don't have a smartphone, so I'm not using TikTok or Instagram, let alone both. So hopefully I'll figure out what that is soon. That's another one that you guys will find out when I do what my book pick is going to be for that. I figure I'm going to come back and revisit what some of these are in a week. So my second week of April TBR will include those books. Next prompt is a circle on the cover for alchemy. Yes. So I went with War with the Newts by Karl Kapek. And look at that, the eyes are nice circles. So, War with the Newts. This is actually on the Boxall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list as well. And my sister read it and she thought it was pretty good. So, I'm hoping this is good. Then we have Inscription. Write 3 titles, pick one. So, you write the titles on little slips of paper, you fold them, you stick them in a hat or something, and then you pull one, is how I'm guessing, because it was a lot more words. But basically, write the name, fold the paper, pick a name. I think that's what they are talking about. So I've pulled 3 books that I will be doing that with, probably on camera, again, probably for the second week of April TBR. So these are the ones I picked. So I have a little bit of selection. I have Umberto Eco's Foucault's Pendulum. I have A Darkness Upon the Ice by William R. Forstchen. Now, I used to read a lot of this kind of fantasy when I was in middle school. I haven't read a lot of it since, so this will be a blast from the past. And I will probably read all 3 of these during April if I can. But one of them will be official, like that's the pick. that'll actually for sure finish in April, basically. And then The Green Ripper by John D. MacDonald. This one is murder mystery, classic murder mystery. So I have a little bit of a selection there to choose from. And that'll be chosen by pulling a name out of a hat. That should be fun. I have lots of hats. I'll probably actually use a hat. Yeah, of course. And then a book you didn't pay for. So I went with one of my analog magazines. So here's the analog that I'm going to go for this prompt. Analog during these years was about 200 pages. No, this one actually is really long. I thought it was pretty fat. This is actually about 316 pages. So it is a magazine full of short stories and essays. And it is a 300-page thing of reading. So I'm definitely considering this to be a book. And actually, they are on Goodreads. All of these are on Goodreads. So, but yeah, in my family, it wasn't always guaranteed that you could count magazines to your book totals. So, still quibbling, but it does count. And this one, it's from 1994, January 1994. So it would be about 3 years old, for when I'm reading. And for any prompts that come up where I'm supposed to be reading, like the new, hit books or anything like that, it is 1997. So if I need something that is current or recent, it's relative to 1997. Because that's where I'm at. So I don't think I have any prompts so far for that. But I think Old School April might have some prompts where the fact that I'm in 97 will be important to keep in mind. So I'll have to double check on that. I will do Old School April updates separately since that's kind of the whole game anyway. So that is the Orillium prompts that I've got books for. My read-alongs with Coda. So far, I have a read-along for Daphne du Maurier's Rebecca, which I'm pretty sure is on the Boxall's 1001 Books You Must Read Before You Die list and the Guardian's 1000 Novels list. Pretty sure it's on both. The only Daphne du Maurier that's on either list that I remember. Though du Maurier wrote a lot of books, not just this one. And my favorite so far is still probably The Scapegoat, which is very similar to one of Patricia Highsmith's books. Actually, it's The Talented Mr. Ripley is a similar storyline to The Scapegoat. So, but yeah, I've seen the movie, the old black and white Rebecca, but I've not read the book yet. The other book that we are reading in April is The Deep End of the Ocean by Jacqueline Mitchard. So there is a movie for this one, and I'm told it is really good. But we'll start with the book and see if I can find the movie. So there's one more stack I'm going to do in this video, and that is for the Dungeons & Dragons readathon. So hold on just a sec, I put these up. Grab these. And the Dungeons & Dragons readathon, and I know that's not what they called it, there's another name for it. But I think everybody that's playing it knows what it is by the Dungeons & Dragons read-along, or the readathon, because that is what it was inspired by and based around, and I've never played. I'm one of those weird kids that never actually played Dungeons & Dragons, even though I was a sci-fi and science nerd and did physics as my major for several years. And I did tech support for several years. How did I not ever play Dungeons and Dragons? I was in the crowd where practically all my friends played. I've never played Dungeons and Dragons. This is crazy. So I'm a fish out of water on this one. I don't know what all this is. I will find out. Yeah, so that's just a little background on this readathon thing. That I don't know all the terminology for actually playing Dungeons and Dragons. So things that are obvious to some people, I'm learning the vocabulary. So if I say things that don't quite make sense on this one, that would be why. But the learning curve is getting there, I think. Sort of. Sort of, maybe. Anyway. So again, I have a character. This one I mapped out a little bit better before my internet stopped behaving. I still have the same name, Mallory Ravenmount. I was waffling among 4 different sort of roles, either martial or magical, because you have to choose magical or martial, and that determines whether you get weapons and spells, or just weapons. So I was considering in the magical side either cleric or warlock, or in the non-magical side, ranger or rogue. And after looking at the rest of the event, I decided to go with ranger. So my character is an outlander. I wander and travel alone, often on the outskirts of civilization. I could see that, actually. And my environment, where I come from, basically, where I've been from my upbringing, is another plane. So, sci-fi fantasy, definitely on this one. And I'm interpreting this as including alternate universes. Because another plane is kind of vague. It depends on how you understand the structure of the universe. So that's important for the prompt later. My character, like myself, is an atheist. No deity. Although, if you've seen Babylon 5, there's a set of characters in Babylon 5 that are the techno-mages. They are not worshiping a god. They're aware of, greater, more powerful beings that are out there, but they don't worship them as gods. They're just species that are so far outside our understanding that they might as well be gods, but they're not, kind of thing. But the techno mages do magic. They have clerical sort of habits and behaviors, but they're not religious in the sense of having a god. And I loved the idea of those techno mages. So I kind of have that in mind for my character. So that's why cleric was one of the things I was considering. But ultimately I decided to not worry about doing spells. So anyway, no deity. I am chaotic neutral as far as my stance. And my race is the Ganassi, which is part genie, part human, and comes in different colors. I'm not sure which color, actually. Probably green. I could see being green. Anyway, So the prompt for race, for being Ganassi, I need a book with an element on the cover or in the title. So for this one, I went with Into Thin Air by John Krakauer. I finished his book Under the Banner of Heaven this past month, and it was really good. And so I'm looking forward to reading another one. And I don't know if that means I'm actually blue. Because if the element that's in my book relates to what kind of Ganassi I am, then maybe I'm blue. Or gray? I'm not sure which one goes with, but yeah, anyway. Or maybe kind of a blend, or like an iridescent. It could be an iridescent Ganassi. That would be fun. So the next one is Ranger. So for being a ranger, I need a book that features hunting. Hunting for something, being a hunter, hunting. So I interpreted that as including murder mysteries looking for who did it. So I get to read the new Arthur W. Upfield book that I acquired for my birthday. The Battling Prophet. This one is later on in the series of the Inspector Napoleon Bonaparte mysteries. So that will be for being a ranger. For being an outlander. I need an outlander vibe sort of book. So, who is more quintessentially outlander than Conan? Conan the Barbarian, who every once in a while lands himself in situations where he kind of settles down. He even has a wife sometimes. He has a whole setup. Like, he's situated, and then he gets bored and he goes off and nearly gets himself killed because he can't settle down like that. So I'm going on with book 6 in the Conan the Barbarian series, Conan the Buccaneer. So that should be fun. And I will probably try and make more progress in that series throughout April. Then we have a book set on another plane. This one was probably not meant to be alternate universe, because it was written long enough ago that 2004 would be in the future. 2004, though, is not in the future now. And I doubt this is what our 2004 looked like. So, Stochastic Man by Robert Silverberg, which for me, as a reader that knows what 2004 looks like, is an alternate reality book. So, another plane in which this is the trajectory that we are going on. That should be fun. I haven't read Silverberg since probably middle school. So, yeah. Then we have No Deity. That one is a mood read. That's something where I'm going to pick from my shelves. And the fact that I sorted my books out so that I have all the books that are valid for April together in the same shelves and stacks will help for this. Because I can mood read among those and not accidentally jump out of my time. So that'll be fun. For being chaotic neutral, I went with a book that combines both the orange and the white that are the colors for chaotic and neutral. One of the hosts for the event also did this. So I happen to have a book that works like that, so I'm going to do that too. So I will be reading Khrushchev's Russia. Look at that, it's orange and white. It's not very big, so that'll be good. So that is a nonfiction. I have actually 2 nonfiction so far in this stack. Then we have Light Armor because my ranger character can have light armor, he just can't have heavy armor. She, it. I don't know, is a genie gendered? I don't know if genies are supposed to be gendered. And I'm not sure if you get a gender when you... Yeah, I'm not sure about the finer points of the anatomy of my character, actually. This should be interesting. Yeah. So for light armor, I need a light or pale cover. I went with Pacho by Jose Antonio Villarreal, I think is how it would be pronounced. But anyway, Pacho, which I was going to read earlier this year and didn't get to. And it is also very small. And I don't know much about it. So we'll find out together. It might be really good. Then I need Shield, a book where the character hides their identity or something about themselves. I saw this one on my stacks of valid books and thought, oh, that's perfect. Schindler's List by Thomas Keneally. This definitely is someone with something to hide to get away with rescuing all these people without getting killed himself. So, yeah, that should work. It's fiction, but it's one of those fiction that feels kind of like non-fiction-y because it's based on true stories and really heavy. So I know something about it already. I've never read it or watched the movie, but it's hard to be a 40-something now and not know at least something about what Schindler's List is about. So it's time to read it before it gets totally spoiled for me. And then we have weapons. I get 2 weapons because I am a martial character. So the first weapon, the beat you over the head prompt. When I played with the foam weapons in parks, I did do that for a little while in Seattle. Yeah, not for very long, but my weapon of choice was the quarterstaff. So I have to have a quarterstaff, which is in this category. A book your friend keeps recommending. So one of my housemates actually recommended this, and eventually sent me home with it. And every time she sees it, she's like, oh, have you read that yet? So I'm going to read it. Besides the Wench is Dead by Margaret Erskine. There you go. I don't know anything about it except that my friend really wants me to read this book. So that is perfect. And then the other weapon prompt is a book that is refreshing or that can get you out of a reading slump. I'm paraphrasing there because I don't find myself in a reading slump. But if I was, and if I want something that's just kind of a palate cleanser, something that's, just fun and fast, and I don't have to analyze the characters or gripe too much about their gender politics, which are problematic, but that's okay. I'm going with Shockwave by Clive Cussler. Yes, Dirk Pitt is problematic. He's a bit cliched. But it's the kind of book where that's okay. Like Conan. Dirk Pitt and Conan are very similar kinds of guys. They're cliches, they're stereotypes. But the kind of story you're reading, they kind of just have to be that role. So those are my specific prompt choices for the Dungeons & Dragons readathon. And then there's one other thing for which I have books for the Dungeons & Dragons readathon. And that is the skills test, where you pick 20 books and number them and then roll a d20, a dice with 20 numbers on it, or use a random number generator to get your number. I think I'm going to use the random number generator. We probably have a d20 somewhere in the house, but I don't know where that would be. It wouldn't be mine, and I don't know where the housemate that has them would keep it. So, I did pull 20 more books for my, valid books that are going to be the rest of my active TBR for April, going into April. I might add more books as we go along because I did sort the rest of my books so that at least 60% of my books are sorted out so that the ones that are valid for April are together. There are some elsewhere. There's still about 40% of my collection that are in a different level of the house, and I did not include them. So if I want to do this again, I have books I have not even begun to sort yet that could also apply. So let me show you the 20 books, and this will just be rapid fire, and then that'll be this video, and we'll get into 1997. The next video you see from me will be totally 1997. Alright, so we have Island by Aldous Huxley, The 12th Planet by Zecharia Sitchin, we have Mary Ann by Daphne du Maurier. This was an old library bind-up. I think that's from our school library. I'm pretty sure that one of my siblings got it when they deaccessioned it. The Cobweb by Neil Stephenson and J. Frederick George. Ceremony by Leslie Marmon Silko. I'm pretty sure this one is on the Boxall list. It's on either Boxall or the Guardian list for sure. Dark Star by Alan First. No Great Mischief by Alistair MacLeod. Raven's Wing by Joyce Carol Oates. Angels and Insects by A.S. Byatt. The English Patient by Michael Ondaatje. Alice Hoffman's The Drowning Season. Ann Tyler's Breathing Lessons. Anne Holt's The Death of the Demon. I'm going to put these somewhere before they fall off, because that could be very exciting, and not in a good way. Alright. I have Wilkes, His Life and Crimes by Winston Schoonover. There we go. Winston Schoonover. Who is probably very happy that I'm not a teacher trying to call names in a class, because that was bad. Winston. Okay. 9 Parts of Desire. The Hidden World of Islamic Woman by Geraldine Brooks. This one's one that I've tried to read this before. I don't really go in for the whole romantic theme in a Star Trek book. and my siblings don't either. So I need to finish this book so it can go away because the rest of the siblings don't want it back. Um, Imzadi, a Star Trek Next Generation book. Imzadi is a term that refers to a particular sort of love interest partner sort of role in the Betazoid culture. It does not bode well for this book. It is definitely way more romance than I expect from a Star Trek book. That one will be interesting, and I might do this one on a Wednesday so that I can be reading it with wine. Yeah. Songs in Ordinary Time by Mary McGarry Morris. The Message to the Planet by Iris Murdoch. Airframe by Michael Crichton. This one, in 1997, this time of year, would be the hot new thing. And it's nice and shiny. I don't think anyone's ever opened this book before. So it's almost like it's 1997 already. And then Talisman by Stephen King and Peter Straub. I have actually done one Stephen King a month so far this year. So if I keep it up, I can definitely put a dent in the rest of the Stephen King library. So, yeah, that is the 20 books out of which I will be picking the book for the skills test. And then I will be trying to read the rest of these as well in April. They are less for sure going to be read in April than the rest of them because, I only need one to do the skill test as far as I can tell. And I doubt that I'm likely to be expected to read all 20 for a big group readathon because most people don't read that much. But we'll see. And there are a ton more books that are in the years that I can be reading. So it's the advantage to having such a large at-home unread library that I can play these games and I don't need to spend any money to play this kind of game. I did spend money because it was my birthday, but not because I needed specific books or anything like that. I lucked out and did find some books that I needed, but I could have done all this with the books I already had too. Although I did incorporate a lot of the new books I got just because I figure the whole decluttering world does have kind of a point in that when you acquire a book and you're all excited about it, it is nice to read it while the excitement is still there. So I'm not decluttering all my books. There is no way that I would survive on only owning 30 books or 40 books. No. How? Why? That would not be me. If I do that, it means I'm an alien that has stolen a Jamie suit. And, that's not cool. So, yeah, that is my TBR for April so far. Expect more exciting things. And, yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, recommendations, leave them in the comments. If you are inspired to pick a year and move to that year for the month, or for a week, or for a couple days, let me know when you are time traveling to and what you're going to be reading and doing for your time travel adventure. I may actually spin this up into an actual event next year. This is kind of a trial run to see what it's like and how hard it is to stick with it for a whole month. If I do it, it may not be at the same month as Old School April, because I don't really want to steal the thunder of the folks doing that event. If it can be incorporated as a challenge level of their event, I'm okay with that. But I don't want to be competing with them, because their event is pretty cool. This is inspired by theirs. So I don't want to take away from their participation by having my own event and, taking the however many dozen people are actually going to join mine. I'm not playing popularity contests on this stuff. So I'll look at what the readathon schedule's like, and if there's a month that it seems like it would fit better, where there's not something already very similar to it. You never know, maybe I'll become best buds with some of the people that do the Old School readathon, and by next year I'll be like, oh, of course, it's just an option within that readathon. Yeah, I could see it, but yes, I am definitely looking at how do I make this into a thing, because it is kind of a fun game already. And a lot of people have been like, oh my goodness, I'm so looking forward to that. So, yes. If you are thinking about it but not sure how to go about it, leave something in the comments and we can chat, because I like time travel parties and all that too. I used to do dinner parties where we'd, do all the food and the outfits and dishes and everything for the 50s and do a 50s party. All right, I think we've done 20s and 50s and mid 1980s, I think, was the other one. And I think we did one where it was ration era England. I don't remember if that one got snowed out. Anyway, so yeah, it is something I enjoy doing. If you would like some recommendations to try this yourself, definitely ask. Or let me know if you have ideas of your own that you want to throw out there. Hey, try 1973 next year. Here's what you should read. That kind of thing. I will catch you in the next video. I will be doing an end of March wrap-up. All in my 90s get-up still. And probably a couple updates midweek as I get into the swing of things and finish a couple books. So yeah. Talk to you later. Yes, I know this is a long one. I will not be offended if you put me on 2 times speed to get through this video, if that's what you need. Or stick me on in the background while you do dishes. I've been known to do that. I will catch you in the next video. Bye, guys!